Hey, welcome back to more live game development. We're making Sons of Soul. I'm Kevin. This is RetroNeo Games YouTube or Twitch or Mixer now. It's not Beam anymore. But it still seems to be streaming there correctly without me having to do anything. And on Watch Me Work as well, which I have to set up separately every time, which is usually the reason I have that 1 or 2 minutes of starting in a minute at the start of the video. So if you're ever wondering why I'm not just ready, I'm going to have to stream it in one place, and then once it's going, take the URL and connect it to another place. Make sure I remember to mute it, which I often forget, and then go. So anyway, I notice I'm higher than usual as well. Got a sit-stand desk, and right now I'm standing. I've been sitting down for too long, and my leg went dead. So now we're standing to start the show, and we'll probably sit down later. So last time we were working on the mission planning board and saving and loading the game day. What that was was that we could go to the war room, plan the next mission, see that it's day 10. I think we did this 2 episodes ago. Part 1 we could actually get into the mission, I think. Part 2. We'd be on part 3 now anyway. We can get into the mission and get out with the extraction thing. Was definitely part 1, I remember that. And then we're on day 11 now. We were on 10 a second ago. Yeah, those stupid boxes were last episode, so part 2. Now we're on day 11, so the day can advance and it saves, which is the point. So once I leave the editor, come back in, launch the game fresh, it's still going to be day 11 because it's auto-loading progress. For the moment, we're just going to use this one auto-save. But here it would be, when you click new game, it won't load the auto-save, it'll start from day 0 or whatever. So getting on with that, we're continuing working on this closed loop kind of a system where I don't have to load a different scene to play. Well, I do load a different scene, but I don't have to come out of the editor, load a scene, go back into the editor, that I can actually make a build where you can play a skeleton version of the game, I guess. And then that way we can just throw on features needed, like you saw a mission there with no enemies in it. So maybe we'll get to it today, that we can at least generate missions. Like if we click on the left mission, there's 4 enemies. We click on the right mission, 5 or something. Just to prove, a difference, like the start of a system that will actually give you meaningfully different missions. With different results and rewards, but right now we're not tracking our resources or anything, so the only thing we're tracking and persisting is the day number. But we'll get there. So since last time, I've known this for a few days, but we are going to be on the Square Enix Collective next Monday, which is awesome. If you don't know what that is, let me bring it up. I should have opened it before, but so Square Enix Collective is like this indie branch, indie supporting branch of Square Enix. Square Enix normally publish Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Hitman, Final Fantasy, those things. Square Enix Collective is a branch running out of the UK who small team, and they have a directive, a goal, a budget to sort of highlight a bunch of games every month. They take a new game every week, and just to pick the most recent one. I haven't seen Meat Possible yet. I looked through the other ones when I was doing our own submission. But so you'll have your own page in the Square Enix Collective, and kind of like Steam Greenlight, people can come along and vote yes or no on the idea and leave feedback. This would be this week's one. There's no feedback yet. Pitch. Sorry, the pitch here. Yeah, there's a marquee of screenshots as well. yeah, so there's different sections of their screenshots, but the pitch section and tell you about the game and the team and different sections. And then you can vote on it and view feedback. You log in to vote, which I guess means you need to make an account. But if you're watching this after Monday, June the 5th, yeah, Monday, June the 5th, and before July 4th, I think. Or well, up till July 2nd, I guess. I think, if I'm right. I think it's just a 4-week period. You can go on and vote for us. The better we look, the better feedback we get, the better the game will be. The better we look to other people, like getting positive feedback, then the better attention the game will have, like press or publishers or that kind of thing. Support, fans, people who will want to buy the game. That's the Square Enix Collective, and we're going live on Monday. So the next stream that I do will be Monday, so we'll be definitely reminding you then to maybe we'll just make the whole stream into this is how you make an account on Square Enix and vote for us. Maybe we'll just make that the stream. I'll make fake accounts all day and keep voting for us. I won't do that. Although, no, I definitely shouldn't admit to doing that live on camera. So I won't be doing that. I'm busy to do that anyway. Workshop. This is only relevant, I suppose, if you're in Ireland. But I'm doing a workshop myself, like running it on starting. No, doesn't have to be games, but sort of leaning on games companies, starting companies in Ireland. Like it's a live workshop, it's not going to be streamed or anything like that. So there is a Facebook event for that. It's called Business 101 it's called Workshop Business 101 for Game Devs. So if you're in Ireland watching this, that'll be running on July 8th. You can get tickets from tomorrow morning, and that's just one of the things I've been working on since last time. Sort of getting the event and get the venue booked. I've got a month, well, more than a month, but 5.5 weeks until that's actually happening. So feel free to get tickets to that and come on. Also, if it says sold out or whatever, like if the Eventbrite shows that it's sold out, do just leave messages, because I'm thinking about renting a bigger room for it, and we'll see. The more support there is for the idea of a bigger room, the more likely we are to do it. Paper design, that's also happening since last time. And stuff that I cannot do on stream at all, but like these are all your pilots. See that? Poker chips to be your pilots, and then let's see, 2 of them together, they're going to be shuttle. This is a shuttle loaded with missiles. That's the bomber now. There. And other ones, like that's search and rescue. That's a boarding party. Of a gun. So I've been trying to paper prototype the strategy layer, which functionally in the game. The thing I'm building right now is this screen, which currently only has 2 buttons and a launch mission button. So let's go throw this up, but it's going to look more like that. Here, let's see. I don't know any good hotkeys to maximize the view on the webcam. Sorry, I could have. I know a lot of people just have hotkeys to go full screen, but essentially, like here, this will be a picture of a planet and moons kind of thing. That doesn't particularly matter, and you just have your mission sort of laid out on the screen. You have numbers of enemy carriers and fighters, and like the numbers of enemy assets, and you don't at first know what they are, but you discover that they do have 1 carrier or 2 carriers in the system. They have 100 fighters or 50, but they're building +3 every day from a factory, and then you learn that the factory's over here. Now you can attack that factory and take out their +3 a day. So trying to build that as if it's a board game at the moment. Write down the rules, and then once the rules are written, you can program them much easier than sort of not knowing where to start and not fully knowing all the rules. Mute my phone because I did mute it, but it's vibrating a lot, so it's gonna really distracting when it vibrates a lot. What else? Paper prototyping, been doing that. Oh yeah, so at the end of the last episode, there was a problem with the color animations. You can see the room here. Actually, I'll bring it up. The war room color. Okay, here's the color. You know, white. So it's just showing this entire one image. The whole room is one sprite at the moment. So we wanted to zoom in that, and I was trying to darken the room as we brought up the screen. You can see now that I'm bringing the color down to a darker, slightly purpley thing. This won't be an orange map. Well, probably won't. It's kind of up to Fred, but presumably the it's holographic looking, so it'll project from here. So we'll have some shine off it. So the room will take a bit of the color of. I was imagining like a bluey, purpley, holographic thing. So, but it wasn't recoloring correctly just because of. What had I done? I can't exactly remember how I fixed it. Right animator anyway was that it was going straight to the second color on its list. I think I actually completely stopped using the right animator to do it because I only needed to color one. So we were in the home base manager and yeah, I do think I just took it away. Yeah, so I fixed the sprite animator so that I could use the sprite animator to actually see how it works. If you want to animate colors on this script that I wrote, you put in 3 colors, go from red to green to blue. But what was happening the last day was it was instantly going to green, then blue, then going back to red. And it's just because I made one change to make it work in an extra situation, but didn't change the other thing I needed to change, which sort of made it think that the very first frame was actually the start of the second round of colors. Essentially fixed that and added the purple color that I just showed you. The room gets darker, the purple comes up. So that's everything that happened since the last time. Mission planning board, yeah, save a load. So that's since last time. Today we still have our list of these are the tasks for getting around the loop and making it sort of meaningful. So everything that's tabbed in, to be clear, is stuff we've done. Everything not tabbed in yet is either not at all done, started yet, or only partly complete. So there's no particular need to start at any, like we kind of started in the middle of that. Excuse me, getting hiccups from water. Get hiccups. There's no particular need to start or avoid from anything, so let's just see what might make sense. No one seems to be in chat yet right now, so no one needs to say what looks good to start on. This choose a mission thing, I could tab that in because we are actually choosing between 2 options, but I haven't marked it as meaningfully done because there's actually no difference. All that clicking these does is allow you to launch, allow that button to come active, so they actually don't affect anything. It's mission type 1 and 2. What they do is call the home base manager select type. So what we're going to have to do for that is load the mission parameters and info, make it meaningfully different, and then make the launch button interactable instead of just making the launch button interactable. So what would we meaningfully have for this? I guess I was just thinking about wasting time by making this a little more representative by like drawing planets and stuff on this, but this is, just imagine the rings of Saturn and a few big looking planets, just triangles and points, and it's just a meaningless kind of background. It's just the color of the map, or whatever you want to see. It's an aesthetic background. The planets don't represent an obstacle because the missions just get generated here or here or here without, like, they're all in space. If they're near a planet, they're just near a planet. So from a programming point of view, this is all we need to know about. We have a box, missions will get thrown up on the box, and we pick them. It doesn't really matter where they are. It only matters where they are if it's if the mission happens to be a base assault. You know, if we found their main base is here, then it'll stay there. Other little more throwaway missions or grinding missions will just pop up here. You do them, they disappear. So where would be interesting? Like, we could do pretty much everything I build towards this will help. In fact, I'm thinking maybe I should, to a degree, not the entire rest of the game, but a lot of the rest of building system is going to be working on not this list, but basically on fleshing out the choose a mission thing. Right now, my mission is just sit in your fighter and leave, call for extraction. That's the entire mission as it stands right now. So the whole game is going to kind of exist in these 3 words almost. Sent to the game or whatever. So if I start working on that, and it's tempting because it seems like the most fun thing, then while this is part 3, we can wind up on part 78 before we're done or something. So should just focus more. I'm trying to remember the title of what I called this video on YouTube. It's creating a complete game loop with saves or something like that. So I guess we should fulfill the promise of saves a bit more. We did saves last week in part 2. In fact, is there anything else critical to that? Because maximum 4 parts is how long I want to do this. After this, I want to be like, the next parts would be like generate, or mission generation, part 1, part 2. So I guess I won't do that today. We will just finish making a loop that saves things meaning. So in terms of doing that, what do we need? An active pilots list would be like everything here is needed. So see what's the most relevant to the title. Launch mission equals save the campaign status. The day or turn. Let's call that day for now. We are saving the day. We're not saving what pilots and resources you have. Could do that. We can make a pilots list and get on with saving pilots and resources. I haven't done enough play testing to be even sure that I want a resources system in the game, like supplies. What we do need though is known intel. Instead of resources, just supplies. It's supplies that I'm not 100% sure if we want in the game as a thing you collect or run out of. But I do very much like the idea of messing with the enemy's supply chain and stuff to gain an advantage. So add some depth to it without being not something overly difficult to. It does require balance, but yeah, it's still something that I'm in favor of doing. Is having a supply chain, like all their little bases and their main base have, like, you know, they can survive for 5 days worth of food, but so every 5 days they get delivered another 5 days worth of food or something. But if you can intercept that supply, then they'll send a more heavily escorted supply, and if you can prevent that one from getting in, and then the base's counter goes down to 0, they might just surrender to you or be easier to capture or something. That is a goal. It's not something that'll definitely be in the game, but it's something I certainly want to try. See, is it fun? See, does it add, or does it just add too much complication? Save the mission scenario twist. So this is, maybe we'll do this, well, actually we can't do this without actually having a meaningful mission. So I guess we have to do a bit of this to do this. But choose a mission as in, this mission has 5 enemies in it and this one has 6, right? So at the start, from here we load into that mission, and then at the start of the mission, like in the next scene, we have to do an autosave there that knows that the current mission has 5 enemies and whatever rewards. It's going to be more complicated than that, but just in terms of how we can prove that the system works, that we can... Basically you build a system and then you mod it until it's a game. Or build a shitty game and then mod it into being a real game. Stages of a mission, that's not overly complex. I mean, basically have a spawner that waits 5 minutes to spawn new enemies, or have a spawner that waits until you trigger an event like boarding a ship. So that might be more in our mission design stage. I'm deliberately choosing live, in case you think I've no idea what I'm doing. Like that I came out and didn't know exactly what I was going to do today, is that I want to be clear about what we're doing. And as I said, we could have 78 parts if I did everything as part of this multi-part episode. And then save the results. So what we do save is the pilot, the day advances, but right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do, my first instinct was to just do the top of the list, like get a list of active pilots. So I've said it now, so we'll do it. So as I said with the poker chips, first idea, this is gonna be very easy. I can just change the number. But I got 12 pilots, including you. So we sort of need, the idea is that at the start of a mission, you will then choose who's flying it and what they're flying, and is anyone in reserve for reinforcements, or are you just throwing everyone in straight away? And there'd be reasons to do that and not to do that. So we need a character, not character creation, sorry, I was about to say it because I was clicking on it, but we need to know which characters are sort of alive in the game. So this is our, not what it looks like, this is my prototype art, but like from the main menu you can go create your own characters, whatever. If you don't create them yourself, you're just getting these randomized characters, which, so what we're about to do today is create a bunch of randomized characters, which is, I already have all the code for it. You click on it and it generates name, first name, call sign, and last name, and then just picks a number in the array of all these things. Eye types, or eye props, eye colors, the eyes themselves, eye shape, all of that. Gender, male or female. It's actually gender 0 or 1, whatever you want. Anyway, so we're going to tell it to generate about 12. What it does here is save them into character pool active characters. So there's a list, like if I stop playing, that'll persist. So we're already kind of halfway there on this. So it knows, if you've played Xcom 2, it's a very similar system where the the game kind of knows how many characters, how many custom characters you want involved in the game. So in XCOM 2, they can come up as, they could be your soldiers, like you could start with them in your squad, or they could be ones that you hire or ones that you rescue, or they could even be enemy scientists or engineers or scientists, friendly scientists. So they just sort of, they're in this pool, so the game knows that it can draw from them or create random ones instead, basically. So we can also tell it to pick from the character pool first, so it'll pick these 3 before it picks any random ones. Or to mix and match, like just 50-50, pick one or make a new one, or only use random new one. So we can bring that to bear as well. But these are just meant to be sort of active for the current campaign. But like you can't, not meant to be a case of if you're using a pilot, you're using Tiny, middle guy there, in your missions and you've saved a campaign and everything, you can't just remove him from the character pool to remove him. This is just sort of a way for new people to get in the game. He's still going to be in your campaign, he just, the other 2 won't now come into your campaign in any way. Okay. Home base manager. That may not be the script I want to use for this exactly, but okay, where would make sense to display our pilots, right? I'm in the wrong scene. So for now, they'll be saved to the campaign, but you might not see them other than their names. They'll be in the pilot bar eventually, but not. They don't all come in at once. Like it is that some of them are in there to talk to just at any given time. So what we could do is, I think for the moment, I'm just going to create them and save them, but the only way that we're going to prove that they're saved is sort of put some text in there on the left and just list all their names. So okay, let's add some text to that. War room, the default room for the moment. Turn on that canvas. I'm gonna need some pilot names. Right click create. You know, I'm just going to duplicate the day text because it has the right color and the right font for me. But I'm going to place it. I'm going to hold Alt so I can set the position. I'm going to place it and anchor it along the entire left side. Yeah, there it is. Set the text to go from the top. Oh, sorry. Up, yeah, there we go. A little shorter. I'm gonna put in some filler text there for the moment. There, pilot 1. This isn't where we'll see it, but in the main game, but it'll prove for now that it's working. Pilots. I will. I doubt I'm actually going to keep this text, but for now, in the war room, we'll have a pilot names text. Yeah, and straight away, I have a feeling I'm actually not quite doing it the way I want. Selecting what pilots go on a mission will be more a case of you pick the mission, it gives you a mission description, you say, okay, let's do this mission, and then you're going to get a list of pilots. So really this list won't be here. So I'll just keep it as text, but if I wanted to actually click on them meaningfully, they have to be buttons. I don't believe there's any way Unity can, or any existing asset store assets where you could actually just mouse over some text and it would know that you were mousing over it. Particularly the same text. I think there might be ways to figure out that the mouse is inside this text box, but not that it's over this word. I don't believe there's any way to do that. Might be a plugin that can say generate a collider around the points on the screen where the P starts and the T ends, separated by commas or spaces, and generate colliders. But that's like doing extra work. It's not inherently part of that system. So this is called pilot names text. We'll tell the home base that it exists. Okay, so what do we need? We need the player plus 11 pilots is the current model. Like we might, well, this seems a good number for a squadron, like 3 groups of 4 or 4 groups of 3, but it might make it 9 to be more manageable. Might make it 15 because we didn't have enough pilots in 12. Hello, I've been playing with 12 poker chips, and I think it's a good amount because you kind of wind up with 3 fighters. There's 3 normal fighters that you play with sort of in the demo. Then you're like, all right, let's have a search and rescue shuttle. That's 2 of them because it takes 2 pilots to drive a shuttle. Let's keep search and rescue shuttle prevents any shot down pilots from being captured or killed. 2 more to be a sensor shuttle, so you can be gathering intel and warned of enemy reinforcements. And you've only got 4 left at this point. So thinking of the need for leaving people in reserve, that they'll be call in reinforcements, so another squad of 3 fighters can show up. But alternatively, they are just they're basically waiting in the wings, and if you don't use them, great, good for you. They're the combat air patrol around your carrier, and your carrier isn't on the map, but it's close enough that it can send in reinforcements. But that if sort of like a random chance that the enemy will scout your carrier, and if they do, then that's one of the components they need to do a base to attack your carrier as a mission itself. So if you have a combat air patrol ready, it can shoot down that scout, but if you bring them all into the mission and the scouting happens to happen, then you might wind up with a base defense mission if you're not careful. So that's another 3, and then you've only got 1 left, which I'm trying to basically pick. Maybe I only had 2 of those reinforcement fighters, or maybe 3. But I had an idea for a single pilot, that they're a stealth recon. So they don't take part in the mission, but they sort of fly in hours early, scout the area, and give you more information for your briefing. So you know how many more enemies are around and what their response time is, so you can know how soon you want to get out of there and stuff. And that's 2 groups of fighters, 2 different shuttles, and that's not enough shuttles to give you all the shuttle roles. Like, you don't really have any bombers in the description I just mentioned. So if capital ships show up, you want to leave. But if you happen to be attacking capital ships, then probably you'll do without the sensor type of shuttle. You'll put missiles on it instead. And you might just commit those reinforcements to taking out the capital ship. So 12 seems like a decent number to me. Yeah, no one's listening right now anyway. There's no one there for me to ask, am I going into too much detail on the intended design? But I mean, whenever I watch stuff, I find that the most interesting, so I presume you're cool with it. So where do we want to keep that list? We need a list of who is active. I don't think we really need a list of who could be active. I think there's one thing that I need. Right, a character has. Let's see, do I have the word save in this? So search, but I started typing the word save instead. Alright, so a character saves an array of numbers, and in this order they represent gender, the body type, the clothes they're wearing, the ear type they have, the head, all aspects of their facial appearance and their uniform and stuff. What it doesn't represent is whether or not they're dead, or whether or not they've even been generated in the currently active vein yet. So I think I need to keep track of that. Like, I could make that be part of the character save stuff. But trying to figure out, do I want to intermix the systems or not, because the way this character is saved and stuff is just for character pool really at the moment. It doesn't have persistence in a campaign. I suppose I should just anyway, and I'll just give it the values of not dead and not yet chosen for the current campaign. Yeah, I guess so. Need to be careful when show you the save stuff a bit better so you understand. 43 versions of the word save in here. What we also save is a separate save file with a list of all the characters who are in the character pool. And each one of them has its own save ID. Import this character. Character gets a unique character ID. It's not their name or anything. It's the current date and time to binary. So it's be a unique code so that you don't, when you edit someone and save them, you don't save and you copy, you change the old one. Whereas if the ID doesn't exist, then you do create a new one. So it's a long and complicated amount of saving. I just need to find the right slot to put in the is alive and is used values. Select info. Actually, as well as that, I'm going to need to know like their levels, their XP, their skills. So, and I don't entirely know what those. So saving it on the character is not necessarily necessary because I'm already saving the character ID. So when I bring in a character, it'll get a character ID. And then under the campaign save, I can match the character ID to their skills. Actually, I wish I'd read up on how Xcom handled this aspect. Just because I figure they picked a good way, because it doesn't seem to break. Let's say if the campaign actually managed remembering everyone's skill levels. So just to test that, I'm going to give everyone different skill levels. So their names will come up here, and I'm just going to give them an arbitrary L7, L8, whatever. See if I can save to their character ID. Not anymore. I'm going to need access to the character pool script. There's more thinking around this than I actually want to do live. Clearly just choose the wrong approach and then be kind of halfway down it and not want to abandon it because I'm in the middle of streaming the approach. How's that? Let's say. Bring the character pool into the scene, then I can access it in script. I'm gonna add the character pool to the whole home base here. Because the character pool script is very much driven to, if I play this, I'll have all sorts of errors now, I'd say. Yeah, it's very much designed to work in the scene here, the character pool scene. I have to access the same functionality without actually static functions, maybe. I haven't looked at the character pool script in a long time. It's actually getting a bit hard to... At least I've shown the intention here. It's just the specifics of doing it. If I strip out the code here and put it into a more universal class. It's while I was doing the character pool stuff and then it references references like, hey, change the name up in this specific slot here, but that slot only exists in this scene. It doesn't exist here. So even though I only need to, actually that looks like the same scene. Oh crap! You know what I've just done? Easily fixable, I guess, but I just ditched the text that I had put in. Okay. By the name text, put it on the left-hand side. Hit up, shorten that. Shortened it by a little bit. Run it back. And I said player, and I said pilot 1, and I said pilot 2. Right, so saving that. Okay. I can't actually generate a character, can I? Oh, I can, because I do in the demo. Check out the demo and tutorial level script ones. This is the public demo you can download. This. Setting us up a specific. In the character level, pretty specific to the scene, actually. Right, so I don't actually need to redo much work. because I'm just loading. Yeah, I don't have the character pool in. Yeah, I don't have that in the demo, but I can still access the characters. So if there is a save file of characters, then we load them. But if there isn't, then I can just generate them randomly, I believe. That's sort of because I have their images. Yeah, it's slightly different again. Sorry. In this scene, I already have their avatars kind of in here, and so I'm just tweaking them. But I specifically just have 2 or 3 actually. But yeah, okay, so that's not totally recyclable system either. So okay, forget making 11 pilots for the moment. I'm gonna think of a smart way to do it and not wait. Alright, so I guess I will do a bit of the... We're already saving the day, so it's going to be the same deal with saving the pilots. It's just going to be a much more complicated version of saving the day. Same with what intel we know. It's going to be a list of things we could know and what we do know. Of those true or false things based around a list that is saved of, you know, what bases do they have? Okay, save that base, know 5 things about the base, and set known to false for all 5 things, and you gradually turn them over to true, and then your intel saves. That's not going to be too different to saving the day. It's more complicated. Save the mission scenario, please. Of a mission. Save results. All right. Back not to that scene, but going back to the home base scene. I'm gonna make it so that these 2 mission types are going to carry information into the scene based on how to dress the scene. Mission setup script already that's not been very developed for it. Unit info, so that's something we can access. So with the mission setup, we're not in the mission, we will not. Yeah, we don't run update basically if we're not in the mission. Although the only thing we were doing in update was, this was for the old prototype. I showed it off a bit in the last episode. It's the one with the terrible art. All I had to do in the old prototype was press X to get back to the main carrier, right? Here I'm just going to say, if we're not mission, return. And I'm getting rid of that because we now just press C to bring up an extraction option. We're leaving the mission, so I don't have a need to get out of it by pressing X. Also, it's loading a scene that I don't want to load. So, all right. So what this does, sort of load this in the edit choices. Let me put if it's ready to be used, kind of thing. Got a mission setup script to each of these. type is on the left one is going to be patrol, and mission type on the right one is going to be a raid. Just for argument's sake, their names, they don't really have any difference yet. And your insertion type is I don't remember them function yet. I think you can insert, you can leave the hangar if there is a hangar, and if there isn't a hangar, it'll sort of just reset you to already present. Right, so if it's warp in and there isn't a warping craft assigned, then yeah, it just goes to already present. If it's hangar and there's no hangar craft, then it's already present. So like, just for simplicity's sake, let's say we're already present. Yeah, this is a singleton setup, so actually the fact that I have it on two of them, it's going to destroy the other. It's going to destroy one of the other missions as soon as I play. Yeah, just one of them's gone, just because of the first line of code. So it's not what I want to do. What I do want to do, strip that out. I don't want to do it on awake. I want to do it on launch. Alright, so base manager. There was the function in here that was select mission type. All it did was set the launch mission button to interactable so that we could launch mission. This is where we're actually going to make a difference. We'll have a reference to a mission setup script. This is called active mission setup. Make sure I can do this first, but would set active mission setup to the MS we just clicked on. That's the idea. And then tell the mission setup script itself to make persistent, I guess. Actually, I don't need to. That's what I'm doing on awake. Make persistent. I have to make that public now. But basically I'll set the currently selected one to I don't want to destroy the game objects because they're both valid missions. I don't want to get rid of them. If there is no instance already, it's going to be this one, and don't destroy the other one. Else, actually, it doesn't need to be instance equals this one. Don't destroy unload. That might actually be enough. Just to prove the test of this public string of test code. Active mission setup dot make persistent. Okay. So it should happen. Actually, I'm going to have to separate it from its parent, because the room will get destroyed and this will get destroyed with it, even though I said don't destroy unload. I think it has to be its own parent, but we can do that. Launch mission. So in launch mission, we'll get that active mission setup transform set parent. I think is how it works. Null. Is that enough? I think they changed. Sometimes they complain about how the parent thing works. I remember if I have it the way they want it or the way they don't want it right now. Filing. Okay. Alright, so this one is test A. Test B. The one on the right is test. Actually, that's by the time I made them a bit. A and B. I think I've done enough to prove that that'll carry into the other scene. So if I click A and launch mission, I forget to do. Oh yeah, that was the one thing I forgot. I said I was about to test and then didn't. Waste manager. I'll select mission type and pass in this itself. Yeah. Waste manager, select mission type, and then pass in. Right, so now it can actually do the select. And there's a warning. Don't destroy unload, only work. Not proper English. Don't destroy unload, only work for root game objects or components on root game objects. Yeah, I know why I'm... Let's see if it works anyway. That's why I'm setting it to have no parent, but it's warning me. So, is it here? No, it's not here. Didn't work. It did set the parent to null, which is why it disappeared. Actually, I didn't need that test code string because I already had set them to be RAID on this one and roll on that one. That would have been enough to tell. Table, click on A this time. So it'll set. Put in. Yeah, I guess it was giving me the warning barely enough. We have to do it here. Just the don't destroy unload part. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So it sort of ignored the don't destroy unload stuff, or else kind of got reset. Right. When we clicked on it, it got don't destroy unload. But I think it ignored that. Not even sure if we need. Probably will. I'll keep it for now, the instance reference. The only other script referencing it is a script I don't use anymore. I just noticed that the asteroids in the background are looking strange today. Oh god, what's going on? A lot of errors all of a sudden. So mission type 1 came through anyway, and sure we could get mission type 2 to come in as well. Type 2 is there now, and it doesn't matter that we can't see it anymore. Reference script on this behavior is missing. Not sure where that's coming from, but the mission setups here. It was a raid. It was test B. So we've taken something that will hold mission info. You can imagine that here. On this screen, we'll sort of click on this and get the information like it is a raid. Then we can add things like, you know, what ships do you want to take with you, that kind of thing. What pilots are coming, and you know, we can't change it here from a patrol to a raid because it generated a raid mission, but you can change what pilots you're bringing and what loadouts you're bringing, and that you would change them directly here on this script. There's nowhere right now that I'm pointing at, but we'd have an array, a list of ships, or probably actually a list of the pilot ID codes, and just load them in when we load the other scene. But essentially we bring this into the other scene. We can successfully, actually what I didn't test was go, selected one should now be A, now be B, now be A, now be B. And just make sure that didn't mess it up. Launch, and we should have B disappeared, so B's going so I'm going to get rid of that test B code. Excuse me one moment. Take a ride with me. We're going to sit down again. Electric desk. Okay. The part that I just sort of satisfied is a mission. Yeah, I can change it from a mission. Anyway, I can bring in mission info. So the mission we go into even though both of them just loaded this empty scene. Actually, there was a problem when I loaded into it that I should test, but we load into an empty scene, but this mission info script, or sorry, mission setup script is carrying in the things we need to make it a specific type of mission with a specific number of enemies and things like that. So there's also a specific background for the area we're in that it could. Right now we only have one background, but we can pre-make different backgrounds, and depending on where you are, also do it procedurally. But I don't know, we probably just finally craft them because there need to be that many. Fred has a pretty hands-on approach to the art, as looking the way he wants it, so let him craft backgrounds. But anyway, we could load a specific, based on it, whether we clicked here or here or here, could just load different backgrounds for it, or else just procedurally generate it no matter where you are. So we'll see. That'll be something I ask the art team / Fred about. He wants to do. Let's make this mission a little different. This is what I said earlier, where the these 3 words could wind up being their whole other several episodes worth. As long as we can choose a type of the mission, I can sort of class that as being done. So that's just like, we still have, every part of this has to be expanded upon to make it a game out of, but I can just make that mission type affect the mission we get into. That'll sort of satisfy that we've created one mission or the other. What would it need? That's making it persistent, validate choices. Kind of all we do, isn't it? This I don't need because we're not using the CAG manager anymore, and that's actually all there is. The mission unit info. We use that. Yeah, so I wasn't saving a list of game objects. I was using a class called mission unit info to generate game objects. So they had a side and a type and a spawn position. Whether they're active at the start. I think this mission setup script can be used to do everything in the mission. The basic scenario, it'll hold a text-based description of the mission. For the main map, when we click on it, it'll know what background it wants to pick. It'll know specifically how many enemies are going to come in, and after what amount of time, or could come in, because it'll depend. If you can stop them calling reinforcements, then great. But this could be where I say I have multiple stages of a mission that'll go on this script as a sort of a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, just lists of enemies. There's probably a lot we can be doing with mission setup in the future. I'm trying to remember exactly why I want this and if I need it. This was prototype code for bringing in and spawning in ships, but I haven't actually used it. Pretty much setting up everything about them. Everything, even if they were docked already with a ship and that they were going to fly off it. So there's a lot of information I could use there to spawn in ships and set them up. So I won't throw it away right now. It's a good sort of template, but to make it simpler, simply say that it carries a mission type, right? That's fine, but if we went back here, to say that mission type 1 involves killing 3 fighters, type 2 involves killing 6. Yeah, so I need basically just a spawner. There is a spawner prefab that I have at the moment. I'm a little bit shortcutting because we're a little bit like I have a bunch of parts of the game that work fine, you know, throwing them together just see if anything is lacking after I do that, and if it works fine, then great. I've managed to glue 2 working parts of the game together, and then we're getting there. Owner group. So I would want more control over this, but there's a simple spawner group here that do by default. It just spawns them at the start. It can also spawn them where they fly up, like in the demo where they fly up from the background. Approach from depth. The reason I picked 3 and 6 is that just by default this spawns 3? Yeah, 3 by default. What if I just made the default 1 in the prefab? Say save that. So on the mission setup thing, problem. So it doesn't complain for now. Turn that to what it was and just add what I wanted instead. Drag in the prefab for owner group. Group, whatever. Actually, not even using the in mission tag right now. So how does this know that a new scene has started? The director is what knows that a new scene has started, right? So there's a director script that sort of sets up the background, the scene, the UI, everything. Yeah, so the director already knows about mission setup scripts, sort of has a way to handle them. So if you can find one, when the director wakes up in a new mission, like, and it'll be in any space mission, if it can find a mission setup, it'll set up a mission. So yeah, so the director is actually responsible for setting up the mission, not the mission setup script per se, or at least the director calls it. That's a long. Mark the end of it there. So. Alright, so the things that need to happen. It was already doing some of them, so dress the scene, like set the background. Aircraft is not null, then player name. Yes, we're already doing some of this. I think I actually generate PNC craft as well. But I don't have a way to actually bring them in. I don't have a way to create them, so they're just going to stay at 0 for now. That's okay for now. You know what, I've already got it set up to work a particular way. So the enemy craft count, public list, but I really need the prefabs for every ship. What I need is to see. What I need is to sort of affect this number, I guess. A public list of a non-mono behavior class isn't going to show up. Don't need to make it mono behavior. In fact, I think I have it written within this mission setup script. It's just a class declared at the end of the normal script. This is a class. You don't have to have it inherit from mono behavior. Speaking to Unity beginners or program beginners, right? Of which I am not much further along, but I do know that it doesn't have to inherit from mono behavior. So we have lists of this class that I made up, but even though they're public, they're not showing up. You can sort of make a public number, and in here they set the number of enemy fighters to the number that's out there in the public. And then when we get to the mission, then the director spawns in enemy craft. Hey, you had a bunch of them. Instantiate enemy craft. Ship type is a game object prefab, I'm guessing. Oh, it's a public game object. Actually, there's a flaw in the design straight away. Ship type, I never set it to anything. I don't really know what the ship type is, I think. Oh no, it does. It just relies on the script for the old scene that I'm not using anymore. Right. There's a complicated amount. The CAG manager, the combat air group. If you watch Battlestar Galactica, your role is basically something like you do what Apollo does or Starbuck later in the series. You're in charge of the fighters. That's your job in this game. You also happen to own the company, so you get to make more decisions, but you're not officially the captain of the carrier ship. It's somebody else. So the CAG manager was just a scene that I called the CAG scene, walking around the carrier. If I were to get rid of this, tied into other things, campaign manager. I think I need campaign manager and the CAG manager are both in the same prototype screen, prototype scene. And here's another instance where I have a mission. Picked what sector it was, but I don't think we're going to go with sectors now. The type was a recon based, so just a bunch of generic types I wrote in. Stealth recon, for example, I'm not sure if that'll ever be a playable mission or just a kind of a mission that auto resolves. Yeah, that's sorry, an enum, so then that line. Day we called it, the day it's due to happen, the day. Right, so this is all stuff from an old prototype that we're not really going to use. Put it in a different namespace. Right, highlighter as well, I think. Because whenever you try to put something in a like an unused namespace, it tends to chain reaction of complaining scripts. Plain now, probably. Oh, this is sector script, which is different again. Let me just see if I can get through the... See if I can get through the chain reaction of complaining scripts. Campaign as I expected. I'll add it there. Well, that wasn't too bad. Manage. So as I said, the CAG manager is kind of tied into the mission setup. As I started using the mission setup script, there were things that were referencing it, and as I changed things to represent the way I want to do the mission in future, it caused problems. So I don't think I need an in-mission reference anyway. Don't need to update at the moment, so that's the only place I was using it. So I'm gonna get rid of it. If I need to bring one back, it's very easy to remember that doesn't make sense. That if you want to update, but you don't want it to update in one scene, just mark that we're in the mission or not. I'm fearing a lot of red right now. Okay. What are we doing on time? We're at 90 minutes. Sorry about the went down the pilot path and realized it was more complicated than I wanted to come at it a bit more fresh and with a bit more pre-planning than I expected. But we're still doing something. Just need to make it that the mission is going to be different based on whether we pick A or B, and then satisfied for today. Director, quite set up to take it the way it used to be set up, but I don't. For one thing, I don't need every version of it to hold its own reference to prefabs, because I'm now. I have a scriptable object for ship. Oh, I don't actually. Put on environmental maybe. units. Yeah, okay, I have this environmental scriptable object that I've been putting more and more prefabs on. A PMC turret and a pirate turret saved there. But every mission I go into, that'll be there. There'll only be one of them, so I don't need to save multiple references to types of shit. But if I delete them, I'm going to have a whole red code. Errors. In the director. Probably all in the director. Hopefully they're all confined to the director. Tag manager is still complaining. Out. Director should still complain, I think. Sure, the director had reference to those prefabs. Oh, okay. Oh, when you expect an error and you don't get one, sort of feeling uneasy about it, even though I should feel better. The list of civilian craft, except it's not a list because it's a list that we never put it on. Tag manager anymore. So look, something pretty basic, but just going to spawn enemies based on how many are in the public integer. What do you call it? Enemy fighters int. Be really basic. Like we'll probably change that to spawn wave 1, or even but we'd also probably delay it by the amount of time we set up to dramatically wait for wave 1, or rather probably save it that, you know, enemies are either there at the start or they come in on checkpoint 1 or checkpoint 2, just so you know. But for right now they're just going to come in on the start. I think it should be as simple as save a prefab. I delete it. Alright, I'm just going to save the prefab here as well, but I don't know if actually, I know you can give it positions and stuff, and give it a name and say as game object, but you can give it simply one argument. So okay. So what I need to do on the director is just kind of go put in a comment to remove this, but mission setup script dot spawn enemies. There it is. Load the prefab on before I forget. group. And I could make it that you can't call for extraction unless you've defeated all the enemies, but I don't know, this actually seems like a waste of time because it would just sort of give some interactivity to this, but I want you to be able to extract at any time. I just don't want it to be instantaneous, and it is at the moment, but a lot of things that it is at the moment that I don't ultimately. Ow, my knee. We could also save how many kills the player has. I don't know, for now let's just prove this works. Turn the canvas off, do it properly. So this is the one I think with 3 enemies. Okay, 3 enemies. I'm a bit concerned about the background. It's half transparent, all the asteroids. Ooh, he dodged. Didn't think he was going to dodge a missile. What is going on with the asteroid field? Yeah, the alpha has gone way down on it. Okay, I'll try to fix that in a sec. But let's just make sure you can get 6 enemies out of this one. Yep, that looks about 6. Send a few missiles their way. I'm out of missiles, I still have 3 of them. If you want to try beat them, they're very low level. Low level, but they can still dodge. So can I, just spam dodge. Might have to balance that. Call for extraction, go back. I think... Actually, now I think I'm going to have too many mission type 2s. Yeah, okay. I think you can set something... You can set it to don't destroy unload. I don't think you can set it to destroy unload. But, you know, what you can do is... Mission setup script dot transform dot set parent this dot transform. So I set it to be the director's child, which means when the director gets destroyed, it'll get destroyed. Should do anyway. So when I came back in here, I had 2 mission type 2s. So I just want to make sure I don't this time. Yeah, now I only have 1, so that's fine. And let me... Now we have the start of our system where we can affect what the mission's going to be. We can affect it out here, and it'll carry in, and we get rid of that information. Then we can take the mission result at a later stage, how many kills you have and stuff, but that the mission setup script doesn't come out of that space mission into the carrier again. So we have the skeleton of what that ought to be too now, which I'm not actually sure which. No, we're not saving mission scenario, but no, we're not saving that. I suppose we do have a basic version here of choose a mission. I'm just tabbing it in. The ones I've done, I tabbed in. Yeah, let me just try fix the asteroid field before we go. But so this is the scene we're loading into. Is this empty scene? The asteroid field in here has a particle system that is colored just fine. Right. So there is the director recolors the scene. It's obviously, you can see it was gray there when I wasn't playing, and then it happened to be green when we got into it. So were there any errors? No. This weird bug. I think even when I brought it up, it hadn't changed color. I don't want to die here. I didn't think I'd made them that they could dodge missiles very well, but they dodged a few. Okay, so right, I've made it fully white. The particle system color isn't changing live, and I don't think it's meant to actually, because they are generated particles already. They're not generating new asteroids in the background. Maybe it won't actually take a new color. But if I turn on and off, yeah. Why would it go halfway transparent? There is a script that recolors background elements from gray into this universal scene color, but it's not on the asteroid field already. The director should do it. Address the scene, asteroid field. Find the asteroid field. For each asteroid field, add a the scene happens in if we don't find the mission setup, it addresses the scene. And if we do find the mission setup, it addresses the scene. But this one seems to work, and this one seems to not work, even though they're doing the exact same thing. This is pretty much just going to be bug fixing for the last few minutes, but if we can get it, I'm going to print what the scene tint color is, and actually print what the dark color is. Why is it not? Oh, didn't put in a plus. Okay. So none of them should have any alpha on them. Shouldn't have been happening. fine. Yeah, so the RGBA is red, green, blue, and alpha. The alpha should be fully opaque. That's also fully 1. So it's fine when we start in this scene, which obviously you can see from the asteroids, it is fine. But if we come from here, it's not fine, and that's because our first value is fully 0. It's not set yet. What's the first value? The scene tint. Ah, okay. The scene tint is set after we called setup mission. Just move it later in the script. I don't think there's anything in there that counts on the tools being done second instead of first. Yeah, there we go, fine. Okay, that bug is fixed. We made it and we fixed it straight away. Although funny that because of where it is, that bug should have been there for a long time. So I should have seen it the other times when I ran the old prototype scene. But maybe I just didn't have any asteroid fields in the scene I happened to be loading back then, so I didn't get to notice it. Seems like that bug would have been there before, but never noticed before, but now it's fixed. Okay, so we've done choose a mission basic. Alright, so next Monday, what's the plan going to be? We'll be on Square Enix Collective, as I said earlier. I don't really know how I'll base an episode around that. Probably just keep working. I'll definitely show off the page if it's live by the time I stream at 3 PM, which it should be. Seems late in the day. It's UK and Irish time. I think we'll go live at like 9 or 10 AM, so should probably be up by the time I stream. I'll show it at the start of the stream and remind everybody to vote. But as for what we'll do on the stream, it might be a good day to play through the demo, and I know we've kind of done that not too long ago, but it's kind of for the day that's in it. But I mean, the code's moved beyond the demo now, so I think if I were to try play the demo in the editor and do interesting things with it, it might even be broken. I'll probably test that over the weekend. Not broken, but just nothing should be broken, but I might have to reset some things in the scenes. Probably not worth it. I might just play the demo build, but then there's nothing I can do with it other than play it. Also, that only takes 10 minutes, so can't make a stream out of that. So we might just continue with this to figure that one out. If we do, I guess creating those pilots might be the thing to do. I said it would take just a bit more prep work than I anticipated, so I can do that prep work before then. Could make the missions more interesting there, or just have it save more info. Or, for example, recognize that that we completed mission A, so mission A should disappear and it should generate mission C, that kind of thing. Also, we can quite easy to save the player's kills at least. We don't have any pilots in to save their deaths right now, but once we have pilots in, we can put them in the mission. I don't know, there-ish, and save the fact that they're dead or not. I'll deliberately get some killed so that we can test that the code will kill them off or not. But yeah, I'm wondering whether it's going to really be part 4 of this, or if I should just start calling it what it is. Actually, I haven't named today's episode. You will know when you're watching this what I've named it, but right now I'm not sure what I'm about to name the episode on YouTube. Whether I should call it part 3 or just call it mission. Anyway, it doesn't much matter. I shall bid you good night and see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. If you're in Ireland, have a long weekend. I'll be working on Monday, but Monday's a bank holiday here. So, if you're on holidays, enjoy them. Yeah. So, goodbye for now.